Season 3. We back, y'all. We back together, y'all.
Yes.
Season 3 CorNbReaD. What's up, fellas? What y'all doing?
Season 3.
What's up?
Let's take a minute and honor the fact that like this idea is taking traction. But I want y'all and the people to know that it's been work.
Man.
It's been work. Like I think sometimes people think podcast, and let's be clear about podcast versus vodcast.
Talk about it.
That's a little bit more. That's a little different production, right? That's a little different production when it comes down to semantics, scripts, topics, systems,
emails,
edits.
brother.
But I would say that in 2 seasons, we've grown to realize that it's worth it. It's been worth it, not just for us, but those that have been enjoying this content, those that have been rocking with us and leaving feedback and kicking it with us on happy hours that we did last season. And it's got us to today, you know, and I think that's, shout out to the people. Shout out to the people.
Shout out to the people.
Shout out to the people.
Shout
I
out
just
to
needed to say that before we got into, you know, the topic and all of that. And I just wanted to say I appreciate my brothers for rocking with CorNbReaD and this trilogy we've got going on here.
Yes.
Like, it's just a thing now.
I like the word trifecta.
Trifecta. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that. It's a thing now. Like, I think it's always been a thing. Let's be honest. It's always been a thing.
It's been a thing before the thing.
Yeah, it's been a thing before the thing that, like we've been talking about in the past 2 seasons. Like when you put a concept together and you plan it and you actually work it and you allow it to grow, things happen.
That's
you know,
The allowing
in that order though. Let me just
allowing
be clear. In that order, you allow it to grow.
Because we can overthink it.
We can control it.
How about that?
Yeah.
We may have some experience in that.
Listen.
Absolutely. But what also is organic is organic.
Yeah.
And when you know that it's organic, when you know that it flows together, you also have a true mandate to do something about it.
Mandate.
And we can't forget about that.
And then it don't feel like work.
Right.
And then it feel like we were supposed to. So
Well, it's never been work. Let me say that.
Well,
You know, we came together 2 seasons ago because we knew that there was a connection between 3 black brothers that not that we couldn't explain, that we needed to do something about.
absolutely.
And I think execution has been at the heart of this movement of CorNbReaD. You know, the whole salty, sweet, and right on time is really all about showcasing that and the things we talk about and the topics we come up with that sometimes are based in current events, but sometimes are just in the moment of reflecting on black malehood and being alive and giving, you know, we got crazy stuff still going on in the world right now, and giving people, black men, black women, other races, an opportunity to have a snapshot of what it looks like to communicate as a black man despite the topic.
Absolutely.
I think that's the lost art, but also based on what our viewers have been giving us in terms of that rev up and pump up, that's been the desired art and wanting to see more of that. And I'm just so appreciative, man.
Yeah.
I'm just so appreciative.
Me too.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly appreciative of the fans. They're the reason why we did this in the first place. We thought what was going on between us, what was happening in those conversations, it just needed to be shared. And the folks who speak to us online, they were like, "Yeah, we needed to hear this. Keep going, keep going."
Yeah,
and I hear that and I feel it, and that's why I keep coming back.
And timing is everything.
Absolutely.
Timing
It
is
seemed
everything.
like the right time.
It was
It
the
seemed
right
like the right time.
honestly, between the climate of everything. And first and foremost, I want to sit in the fact that it's good to be back together. Right.
Man.
We back in the same room.
We
bro.
cannot glaze over that. Right.
Wow,
It's been a
like-
while.
Like, I missed you guys
I
primarily
missed you.
because this is my therapy group. You know,
Zoom
I don't know
don't
about
work.
y'all.
Zoom don't work.
This is my therapy group. You know, I need people to understand that we did this because of the organic aspect of literally being each other's talk therapists.
Right.
You know, and meaning it. Like it was something that you picked up and you were like, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
And it's something to say about being
And not
there.
stop being.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
continue
yeah,
to be there.
Yeah,
That's right.
continue
You know,
to be
whether
there.
it's
Black
because I
men
felt like
showing
it.
up in a space and being there. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
And staying there.
And staying there.
And letting the brothers know when I can't see you, I know they there.
Yeah.
You know, that's powerful, man. I know I got some bros here. Also,
On and off camera.
On
Right.
and
The
off.
camera is for y'all,
camera.
so you know
Right.
the camera is so that we can share it, right?
Yeah.
So what I know that I
Yeah.
have off camera, it helps me get through some of the things that I need to get through.
Well, this is the depiction of that whole Black History 365.
Mhm.
I think that's the imminence of CorNbReaD. You know, being willing to continue the dialogue when it's popular, when it's not, when it's hot, when it hits, when it's sour, when it's salty, sweet, and right on time.
Yes.
You know, that's the reason.
When it's real life.
You know, when it's real life, when it's current, when there's a moment, when it needs to be silence, really being visible so that we continue to engage in a pocket space that is typically taboo and undesirable, you know, visually. Because this, you know, I think one of the reasons.
Oh, this is a gang.
Nah,
Three of
this
us
is a
now,
gang.
right?
This
It's
is a gang.
right?
But, you know, one of the reasons why I wanted to push for us to start this was because it needed to be visible.
Thanks.
Like, me getting juiced up from either view makes my day go smooth, right? But I'm one person taking all of that, hopefully change back into the community, and then, you know, burnout is real.
That's right.
But when I can actually do it collectively, that flame, this flame right here is what I think really carries the weight of us. And we hope that we've been doing justice with just the dialogue and really pouring ourselves into a space of vulnerability, authenticity, and growth.
You gotta lead by example, right?
Yeah.
So when I graduated from a community college, the whole phrase back then was "be the change," and I bought into it.
How much you paid for it?
What for the man? I just
Literally bought into it.
You know what I bought? You know how much it cost me? It cost me. I had to move from the West Coast to the East Coast. It changed my whole lifestyle.
Oh, he
That's
committed.
I was like, okay,
That's
well
on
then.
top of the cost of change.
The cost
So
of
you know.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But today I want to talk about your mama.
Tonight,
We wanna talk about your mama.
Yeah, so we can go on a hamster
about
wheel.
mama.
We can go on a hamster wheel forever. So we're not gonna y'all. If y'all been rocking with us, y'all know CorNbReaD. We can come up with 3 topics in one,
In 5 seconds.
and we know we want to keep this as a 30-minute show.
Facts.
So tonight, my brothers and I, we were coming together to talk about, you know, it's Mother's Day, and it's important for us to. We felt that it's important for us to. No, you're fine. It's important for us to really talk about that tie and bond between mother and son, and you know, each of us, we have mothers, and we have different walks of life and different narratives with that. But we wanted to just shine light on, I think, the importance of the role of a mother and what she plays for her son, but more importantly, her black son. And talk about those pocket spaces, though, that are usually missed over when we talk about how that son evolves into a man, and how that role of a mother depicts that outcome. Whether it's we talked about areas of, like, you know, when we think about our mothers, are we victims of our mothers, like, in her order to protect us, smothering us, which makes us, you know, less aware of the world around us because she wanted to just protect us? You know, that has its own disadvantages. Do we think about black men who are dealing with life and concepts of life who may have had a mother who abandoned him? You know, how that plays out in his relationships, maybe his communication, and most aspects of his life, because he's still dealing with the perception of being left, you know. And I think the third area that it might be good to talk about is when you have an overbearing mother, you know, who wants to choose your life, your school, your. Oh yeah, we love all our mamas. But I think it's important when we talk about the dynamics of a black woman raising a black man, or even if a black woman who has a black husband, they're raising a black son, but that dominant personality is still there, how that can derail usually the lessons of that black man for what he needs to get, because she loves him and she protects him, and her way is the way, where he yields all of his decision-making power to what mommy wants. Mommy chooses the school, mommy chooses the education, and mommy should, because she's paying for it, right?
I know something
but
else.
that spills into his adult life, where mommy wants to choose the girlfriend, mommy wants to choose the wedding, where it happens, where you're going to live, and mommy wants to literally narrate your relationship because mommy knows best. And so when we think about black men with mommy issues, I think those 3 areas I wanted to really touch on tonight, and just get dialogue going around how we can help communicate anyone who's in that space, communicate for anyone who's in that space, how to deal with that as a starting point. That's all. We don't have solutions. Most of us are still working through our own mommy issues, right? Yeah. Because we all have them as black men in some capacity, but I think someone can start somewhere.
Absolutely.
All right, which one do y'all want to take tonight? I think I like talking about maybe the overbearing mama who maybe chooses or elects to choose everything for her son, and even her adult son, as being the right way or no way at all. And how men have been dealing with that, who don't want to make their moms unhappy, but want to try to find the independence because they've never stood up in their own voice against the woman that birthed them.
I like that one, and that's something I think we talk about that one.
Yeah.
Because what it really is carving out an identity apart from your mom, right? Really separating that umbilical cord, saying, I'm actually a whole other person from you. And I have my own set of experiences, and you don't have to. I did it wrong when it was my time to like really sever that umbilical. I did it wrong. It was a cussing and yelling match between me and my mom, only because I know that's the way she communicates. She was communicating that way with me, and I was like, okay, well, we go get back. The problem is we were extremely passionate. Once you turn the switch on, we go see you on the other side of this passion, and then hopefully you still stick around. But the better way to do it is just really, we talked about this in first season, second season, awareness of self, all of this understanding we have to know. So when it's time to say, hey, I actually have a different idea of the direction that I need to go, Mom.
Right.
And I can explain it that way. And as opposed to being defensive and saying, it's my life, I hate you. I hate your guts. You know, you don't have to do it that way. I think if you watch these episodes, what you'll come to is an understanding of yourself to know how you can explain yourself when the time comes to really be an individual. I like this whole group.
At what time period is that? So if you're a black man who has an overbearing mom, okay, that's the topic. That's the angle we wanted to start from that, because it happens, you know. Fortunately enough for me,
moms are awesome. Shout out to single moms. Single moms, raised by
yeah,
single moms.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wouldn't be here without her.
Absolutely.
We talk about a different type though right now.
There's a matter, timing is a factor, and I think timing looks different. There is no time scale. When you at this age, then you should. We can't really say that.
Yeah.
The time and all has to do.
Should?
We can't say.
Okay.
Yes, we cannot say. There is no set time in which these things, because what we're talking about is attachment, right, and the tension of the change of attachment, right? And honestly, it could happen depending on all the things you mentioned. That bond and that attachment can change at any given moment, right? Based on whether my mom's overbearing, that attachment and that tension of attachment can happen early or later, right? I have a mom that may leave me, that attachment can be weak, right? So depending on the nature of the nurture that I'm receiving, right, may depend on that attachment, but there is a real tension that comes with attachment, right? And that tension of the fact is that as this young boy is growing into a man, right, there is this tension of no longer seeing him as boy, but recognizing him as man, right? And how I begin to translate now my parental stance, right? Because as a parent, they're an adult, right? And I have to send you. Even when we go back down to cultural stances, that how they would send their children out into the wild, right? You know, in order to build out a sense of morale, especially young men, right? As a rites of passages. We're talking about those type of things, rites of passages. You got quinceañeras, you got all these different things that talk about rites of passage. I'm entering into adulthood and a sense of starting to release you, right? I rear you, but then I release you, right? And there's a tension that happens where my rearing goes beyond and I don't release, right? And so that's the tension that sometimes we deal with. And sometimes it can cause, like you said, it can cause butting heads. It can cause cussing matches. Don't recommend that one. You might get slapped, depending on your mama, right? There may be some hands thrown, right? You know, it may be actually separation. It may be no talking, right? It can really sever the relationship because that tension is real, right?
Let's talk about the types of black moms. I think it's important when we think
You're
about.
just getting it all.
Well, because we can.
No, we only got 30 minutes here.
I know, but
Types
this episode is dedicated to Mother's Day, and we're black men with mothers.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, you know, this is not just so we're clear. This is not to like downplay the strength of a mother, because some mothers have had to be mothers and fathers. Some mothers have had to like be hard on their sons and control everything because they're raising by themselves. And in our community, I think it's important that we highlight the types of moms, so before we even understand why they are the way they are. You know, like if you're a single mom who was raised by a single mom, you're thinking about breaking generational curses maybe. So you're not going to let your son, it's demasculating a little bit, but you're like trying to be overbearing so that you can protect him to the point of wanting him to be a good man. But it's not that it's impossible, but it's almost a conundrum, because it's kind of like Well, that's still a cycle of, because you.
But it is, but we're gonna be real. It really is, when you get down to the root of it, it is emasculation, right? When you don't give this, when you don't give the space, right, for the man to be a man, right? No matter how we want to dress it, it's still.
But that's why I want to talk about it. That's why I want to talk about the types of moms, because I think.
Now it's not intentional.
It's not intentional,
but it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
But that's why we have to talk about it, because I have to give my mother was a single mom, you know, and fortunately enough, I didn't have confinements on me, you know, because she had a certain limitations on like her experience of receiving motherhood in terms of how she saw motherhood for her children. So her translation of that for me was the things that she did for us was more than she got. So it didn't need to be like, come here, in here, boom, boom, boom. I got to be exploratory, you know, and I got that matured me a lot faster, because again, it was kind of a hands-off approach, right? I might have looked for some other things from my mom that she might have grew out of, because she might have saw me as, oh, he's good, you know? And I think it's just a lot of messaging when we talk about the types of moms, that moms are responding to the stimuli that they are rendered.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a mother that comes from a two-parent household, she might be more nurturing because she had time to blossom that aspect of herself into becoming that, because she saw her mom do that. And she saw maybe a man in the house nurture that woman, and that became the cycle that she wanted to perpetuate.
So I want to interject here, because you're right. My experience is similar to yours, but different. My mom, I grew up in a two-parent household, right? So, but my mom did not grow up with her mother, right? And so that aspect of not receiving, giving me what she did not receive, a miracle, right? The fact that she could give me the things that she did not receive, and honestly, what I should have received should have been the same thing, right? That's a miracle. I love my mom for that, right? And I think, and that's a testament to the power of God and her working through her process, right? But I think growing up in that two-parent household, the balance of having a partner, the balance of having a husband, the balance of having a man in place, right? That does help a wife with the release, right? Because a mom is a woman, she needs help, right? You know, and so
I want to pause.
let me get this out, right?
I have the pretense because it's not one way. So you're saying, I know you're talking about your household,
right.
But when we talk about moms, we have to remember, like, most moms may not have a husband.
That's my point. That's my point.
Okay.
And it's not a negative point. This is my point, right? With my mother being able to have my husband, she can have, my dad can come in and say, that boy fine, let him alone. A mother who doesn't have a husband doesn't have that extra buffer, right? So that's the tension I'm talking about, right? That's the reality, right? And it's not a downplay, it's just the reality, right? So even as men, we have to sit with that, right? You have to sit with that, like, you know, in your current reality, you know, if that was a reality, right? That's something that I know, that because my mother does have those real moments where she's like, you know what, does Ashley have this? And they're like, that boy is, listen, right? He's fine, right? Let him alone. And so, in that case, like you said, it gives her the space to get in her space, right? But someone who may not have had that, that's a real factor, right? And so how now they may have to rely on the community, another network, right? And maybe mentors, and maybe a pastor, maybe a community or rec center, all these other things, all these other voices that they build, right? Because we know women in their communities, right? Women will build a community, huh? She will build nests, right? And so we know she's not out here by herself, right? Women, they got their nests, right? And so, but she has these other things to give her that support, and that release and that tension of that release may process out differently.
Right. No, all the facts, right? It's just so dichotomized. Like within community, that's why I wanted to at least say that before we ran out of time tonight.
That's right.
I needed to say that because we know our counterparts aren't in the same situation we're in.
Right.
It's just not happening. We have so many angles of how we actually deal with and manage like rearing when it comes down to moms and their black sons. There's a scenario for every day of the week. Yeah. You know, and at the end of that scenario still is that black son. Right. At the front of that scenario is that black mom, and they both matter, right? One is trying to understand how to keep her son alive in a world where, you know, everything is happening. She may or may not have that support. She may be still developing herself while trying to raise a boy to be a man. Like you said, they find themselves in those pockets. You know, it's almost like as a mother, you don't get stuck doing it, but I wonder how many black women may feel like that, you know, who have to become something different that they're not, just to add that extra dexterity or level of intensity for that rearing, and sacrifice something that may give up something in them to do so.
I have a question, and I kind of want to turn the tide a bit, if you're okay with that.
Let's do it, man.
Okay. I want to deal with the aspect now of a son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having now to navigate the release, with mom, right? It's a clear one. We're not talking about releasing altogether, right? But starting to dealing with that space of now going from rearing to releasing to being able to be in your space. That's a real conversation, right? And some of us have had to have these conversations.
To be a man.
Honestly,
that's be a man. Like, that's what it boils down to. Like,
no, yeah, go ahead.
What's your poll? Like, how many? What's the percentage of black men that you would say that you even know, who you may know personally, maybe raised by a single mother, or strong mother? I won't even say overbearing. That was the wrong word I used earlier. Because in our community, it's just a strong black mother.
Strong
right?
black woman.
Who might have had a strong black mother.
What we talking about? I got a strong black mom who said, go to school, stay out of trouble. And then there are mothers who say, this is who you going to marry. That's what we were talking about.
Right.
That is what we do. Yes, it is. So honestly, the percentage is high. The percentage is high. And if I was just mentally gauge circles I've been in, that percentage is very high. I'm almost scared to throw a number out here, but it's high, right?
Okay.
So let's be real. That real tension. And I don't know, I just want to encourage someone to let them know that they can navigate that space. You have to navigate the space. There should not be an option. If you do, there will be a failure to launch if you don't navigate the space, right? But it's all about how you do it. If you can navigate the space without being disrespectful, right? Mm-hmm. You can navigate the space without dishonoring your mother, right? And there may be real tension, right? Because there may be times where you may feel you're in a seat of being dishonored, right? By your mother, while you're trying to navigate that space, but it's still your mother, right? And how you navigate it, you want to navigate with any relationship. You want to navigate it for its greater health and for its greater growth, right? Because what we don't want any relationship just to sever and disconnect, right? That's not healthy, right? Especially your mama, right? Especially.
Actually, on one tonight. He on one. I feel your passion, and it's a sensitive. So let's be real. This is a very sensitive topic.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're doing it tonight, primarily because I think we all have a story, right?
Yeah.
We all come from a black woman.
Yeah.
At least us in this room.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
These are the facts, and that black woman is diverse.
Yeah.
She has her own story, and she's either left to raise a son or raising a son in partnership, and she's a black woman. She's not a black man. These are the facts. I'm gonna keep saying shout out to black moms and black women, because again, your willingness to choose to raise a black man is commendable.
Absolutely.
For the blacks,
it's not a choice though. Even when it's not a choice, you still do it. Well, it's magic, and then that's what I learned from my black mom. I don't have any. It's something hard to say. The faith that I have in black women came from my mom, and it's immeasurable. If I see a black woman in charge, I don't immediately think anything negative at all. I think, fantastic, I could probably learn something there, because that's the kind of black mom I had. She said, learn, grow, learn, grow. Even if I got in trouble, she would punish me and then say, what did you learn? So you don't do it again. So now the attitude I had is I am wholly not afraid to fail and make mistakes. And I am wholly determined to not make that mistake twice. Right. So she raised a black man well. She did most of it by herself. There was family involved. I was always at my cousin's house. I was at my auntie's house. Aunties are second mom. Shout out to aunties.
Come on, aunties.
And then Pops was gone. He had to be away for a bit. That's how it went where I'm from. There's a lot of us who went through that same situation. Not a lot of us went the same distance though, and I owe a lot of where I am to my mom, to my black mom. We'll get into crumbs in a minute here. So
It's getting real.
I just want to add a little bit to that, and I think it's important. I appreciate you even sharing tidbits about that, because I think it's important, as a black man with a black mom, to talk about the space your mom led for you. Similar to you in terms of nuggets your mom gave you. My mom gave me tenets of faith. I was getting daily crumbs every day.
Well,
you understand what I'm saying?
Daily bread.
And not even understanding what that might have meant for me. you know, you can see those things played out. Like I said, she wasn't as hands-on, but there was still like a direction I could look at, that a light was being shined of my options. And, you know, to pivot really quick back to the black son of but become a black man, it's about being queued up, I think. When we talk about black men with mommy issues and how, one, those issues develop, you know, because those issues develop out of lack of some sort. It might not even be the mom's fault, right? It can be the absentee of the father. It can be the overbearingness of the mother who's trying to fill the void of the father. It can be literally two different people in two different spaces trying to understand each other. And
you gotta get lucky. Dude, my mom was 18 when she had me, man. She was 18. I imagine what I was like when I was 18. I don't know what I would have gone through, what I would have had to do to raise a child. And a lot of women are put in that position, and they succeed at it, man. Black men fall back and listen and look at how they run their lives, how they adapt and how they grow. We got a whole lot of advantages being just male here in America. But if you want to really learn how to adapt and grow and conquer all, listen to these black women. Watch them. Just watch them.
Oh man, jump straight into the crowd.
Just watch them.
I love it. I love it. And that's what's going to be my answer. And I think we can wrap up on the crumbs on this note. Like, how do we help direct our black men to navigate who are either being raised by a black mom, whether she's strong, whether she's passive, whatever, or who become black men and realize that you find conflict in your relationships, you find conflict in your communications and your marriage maybe, or within yourself from having a disenchanted relationship with your black mother. You know, what can we leave in that space for brothers out there who are trying to navigate forward?
Well, first and foremost, as we're talking tonight, recognize the magic of your black mom. That's step one, right? Don't lose the honor, right, of who she is as a woman, whatever woman that you've been graced with to have. Don't lose that honor, that sense of honorable, of who she is and how she had to rear you, and all of the different things. And there's things that we don't know about that you don't know about, that mom had to do to rear you as the man that you are. So first and foremost, we want to give honor there, right? And sitting in that gives the heart the grace it needs to see a better picture, right? So that before I just deal with the frustration of what I think should not be happening right now, I see a total picture of why I'm getting what I'm getting. Even if it is, I call overbearing, right? The overbearing is a sense of value of mom that she sees in her son that she may have trouble letting go, but that's what it's there for. And so honor that. We honor that, but also at the same token, while you are coming into being that man and stepping into the man, especially those who have wives, right? Then we know the obligation changes, right? Because you also have a black woman in your house, right? A mama in your house that you have to protect and cover as well, right? And so, I mean, there is a leave and cleave, right? That is real, right? And that is your role and that is your place as a man to begin to leave and begin to cleave. And so we have to practice that. And so, and mom may have some issues, but through grace and through love and truth, right? We help to transition ourselves to better bonds.
Respect. I think I'll just jump in and say a couple of things. Being effective in your communication is key.
Yeah. Being
able to make sure that, like Ashley just talked about, I think the most powerful thing that I did was to learn my mom's backstory. Once I learned her backstory, I could appreciate her even more and understand why she made some decisions she made, even in rearing me, right? And as I got older, I could really begin to honor that a little bit of like, whoa, you know, if that were me or, you know, that was, you know, any other person I might have known, would I survive that? You know, communicate effectively with your mom. Even if you're a grown man and you're still dealing with this, talk in a way that you can express and explain who you are, present day, what you're going through, how you grew up maybe. Talk about those things that you saw when you were growing up to who you are now. So, because she needs to be brought into where you are. I think that's the other part of it. Bring your mom to your manhood. So she can actually appreciate what she's supported and developed. And now you are both relishing in the differences.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
Well, listen, CorNbReaD, we're back. Season 3. episode 1. Thank you all for tuning in with us.
Peace.
You can catch us on IG and Facebook at Eat More Cornbread. Definitely leave us feedback. We appreciate that at eatmorecornbread.com. And better subscribe to this YouTube channel this season. We're not playing.
I mean, what you
All right,
waiting for?
CorNbReaD
Get in there.
Vodcast. Check us
Get in
out.
there.
We're 3 seasons in, and we appreciate you riding with us. Until next Sunday, eat more cornbread.
Eat
More
more
cornbread.